Good morning. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. When it comes to medical devices, we have an insane policy that makes no sense. Devices that have been recalled because they severely injured patients are used again and again as models for new devices. It's not a surprise that the new devices also seriously injure patients. This is wrong, just plain wrong. If an automobile is recalled for a major safety problem, we wouldn't allow future models to repeat this same flaw. The same should be true for the medical devices used in our bodies. If the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, knows that a certain product is defective, it seems reasonable enough that they should be able to reject it. But there's a loophole in our current law that actually requires FDA to approve certain kinds of medical devices, even if they have reason to believe that it may harm or even kill patients. That's because most devices are cleared by FDA under what's known as the 510K process, named after its section in the federal law. Under 510K, FDA reviews new devices and is required to clear them as long as the device is similar to a product that is already for sale. The 510K process should really be called 510-PRE process, because FDA can't protect you. So you better start hoping and praying that it won't cause serious harm. Holes in the medical device approval process are leading to holes in patients' hearts, bladders, and other internal organs, causing grave injuries and even death. This must be corrected. The fact that medical devices that are put into patients' bodies don't have to show they are safe or effective would shock a lot of people. When a patient gets wheeled into surgery, she assumes that the medical device the surgeon will use is safe and effective. After all, that's what FDA's stamp of approval means, right? But what few realize is that the device implanted in them to help them walk or breathe, or their heart to beat, was likely cleared through the 510K process and wasn't required to show it is safe. In fact, it's probably not been tested in humans at all. As long as the device company shows its product is similar to an earlier version, the company has the green light to sell their product to doctors and patients. But what happens when the device is modeled after an earlier one that has seriously injured or even killed patients? What happens is that earlier model harmed so many people that it had to be recalled. Would FDA still clear the new device? Under current law, the FDA has no choice. Most people would agree that they wouldn't want a new medical device that was modeled off a defective model. That's just common sense. But this can happen under current law. Tragically, it does happen, and patients have been killed and grievously injured as a result. If the government determines that a tainted chemical is being used in 10 different prescription drugs, it would pull every single one of those drugs from the shelf. And it would ensure that the tainted chemical was never again used in another product. Medical devices are treated differently. If a faulty product is recalled, the recalled device can indefinitely be used as a valid model to approve new devices. And this has devastated lives. You'll hear today, and you can read in my report, Defective Devices Destroyed Lives, about how this entire process works. This is the actual reality of how ordinary Americans are treated in the device sector, and we are going to make this available to the public beginning today. It is a devastating indictment of the ongoing calamity that is this entire area. Parents who were once able to support their families are permanently disabled and living in pain because they have received these defective medical devices. Hardworking Americans have had their life savings swallowed up by medical bills they racked up trying to undo the damage from a defective device, and the emotional stress is beyond calculation. Dr. Tom Margolis, a pelvic surgeon from California, has witnessed this firsthand. He was planning on joining us this morning, but his connecting flight has been canceled because of the fog. He took a red-eye flight across the country because, as he wrote, "I want to be a voice for the scores of women I've treated over the last decade who've suffered devastating injuries from a flawed device that should never have been allowed on the market." He has performed scores of what he calls salvage surgeries on women with bleeding, pain, and permanent injury to their bladder, bowel, and nerves. Dr. Margolis rebuts the argument made by mesh proponents who argue that complications occur because inadequately trained surgeons perform the procedures incorrectly. The bottom line, he wrote, is that mesh devices always have been and always will be a defective product no matter who puts them in. Further, he writes, from a surgeon's perspective, all this is made additionally tragic by the fact that there are several superior options to the use of synthetic mesh for incontinence and prolapse surgery, one of which are plagued by the complication to mesh. That the FDA does not have the ability to reject new devices based on the current flawed model is unconscionable. Though I personally abhor big government, I believe it should intervene when it's indicated. In this case, it's indicated. I hope that Congress will work together to save future patients from a fate that has caused too much suffering in too many women to date. That is my hope as well. My mother always told me that two wrongs don't make a right. In this case, companies shouldn't be able to win FDA clearance for a device that mimics the same flaws in its earlier model. That's why I introduced legislation that would untie FDA's hands and give them the authority to reject a device that is based on a product recalled for a major safety flaw. The Sound Devices Act closes a major loophole in the current device approval process. I will fight to include this bill in the FDA legislation that Congress will consider this summer as a part of the Medical Device User Fee Act, so that patients will never have to experience what Jay and the thousands of others like her have already endured. Now,